Here. All right, let's get started. So grateful to have all of you here. We're going to be talking about, as you know, LinkedIn, specifically in the context of engineering careers. And some of you were just telling me before we started this recording about some of the things you're trying to accomplish here and some of the situations, whether you in a layoff or about to graduate or other things. No matter what, we're going to be talking about something that will be helpful. And so let's kind of dive in here. All right. So we heard this from a couple people, but I want to we're going to do things this little thing I call a quick chat a few times throughout the process, just a way to kind of engage and hear from you along the way. What we're going to do is I'm going to ask a question, then I want you to type your answer in the chat box, but don't press enter until I do like a 3, 2, 1 countdown. Okay. And so then we get to see all the responses come in at the end all together. So some of you already told us, but I wanted you to just throw it in the chat box again. Where are you joining us from? Would love to see that from you. Go ahead and type that in the chat box. And just as a test, type that in and then press enter in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So Maine, California, and Boston, lots of fun places. And I'm in Washington State. So we got Northeast, Northwest, and kind of Southwest. All right. Very good. So my promise today, as we get into this, is I want to give you some specific strategies that you can start using on LinkedIn right away. Things that can help you with job searching, networking, connecting with people, personal branding, and more. Also going to give you some opportunities for some free stuff and an opportunity to work closer on this if this is something that you really want to dive deeper into. Okay. But this is a little bit of a different kind of webinar. I do have an opportunity that we'll talk about at the end to work with me more closely on career progression, if that's something you want to do. But I really want to deliver value for you during our session today, whether you do that or not trying to hold back all the secrets and stuff. Okay. So is this for you? It's a question. Well, if any of these describe you, then this is definitely going to be helpful. If you're an engineer, technical professional who's trying to figure out how to use like LinkedIn to find a new career opportunity, then this can definitely be helpful for you. If you're trying to figure out how to successfully grow your network and connect with more people, you want to build a better personal brand without wasting just a crazy amount of time on social media. If any of these are true, then you're in the right place. And so my invitation for all of you as we just get started here is just to be present, engage with the group, engage with the content. If you're, put the cell phone away, close all your other browser tabs and other things, unless you're tuning in with your cell phone, but actively participate, take notes, see what you discover, because if you're already given yourself and me this time, then may as well make this as useful as possible. Okay. So as we kick it off, I just want you to meet Nathan. And Nathan, when I first met him, he's a senior software engineer. But these are some of the things that he told me when we first talked. He said, I feel stuck at my current workplace. I don't feel like there's opportunities for growth. He says, I rarely get hits on LinkedIn, even though he was trying to make a move. When I do, they're not good fits for things that I'm looking for. Says, I don't know how to tell my story so that people actually see my value. And I don't know how to stand out from the crowd so that I can get noticed by companies that I really want to work for. Okay. So these are some things that he was telling me. I'm curious if any of these resonate with you. We're going to do another one of these quick chats. And so the question here is, and I'm going to go back to that slide, is which of these statements of Nathan's, if any, do you most relate with? Or maybe there's something else, but I'll go back here and just look at these. You can just put 1, 2, 3, or 4, or if there's multiple that you kind of relate with, throw those in the chat and, type the numbers, and then I'll do a 3, 2, 1 countdown in 3, 2, 1, go. 2, 2, and 4. Chris is saying 1, 2, 3, and 4, all of them, but 2 and 4 seem to be the most popular. Rarely get hits on LinkedIn, not good fits, don't know how to stand out from the crowd. And that's very common, and that's something that LinkedIn can be used very well to do when done well. And we're going to talk about some of those strategies. So Nathan here actually had some big shifts. And we might talk about that a little bit later with some things he was able to do on LinkedIn. So let's continue here. Because after he implemented some of the techniques that you're going to be learning today, we updated, even just by updating his profile alone without doing anything else, he went from getting 0 or maybe 1 recruiter or someone reaching out to him to 5 or more recruiters reaching out to him every single week. And these were companies that he was excited about, well-known large companies, Facebook, Nike, and Amazon that were coming calling, as well as a bunch of mid-sized companies that he was kind of interested in as well. All because he just used some simple profile optimization techniques in addition to some of the other things that he did as well. Ended up getting a new job at Nike in the end that he was really excited about. So anyway, this is some of the stuff that could be possible for you. So quick intro on me. If we haven't met, many of you, I don't think we have. I founded More Than Engineering in 2019 to do leadership and career coaching for engineers who really want to level up their lives and careers. My personal technical background is in mechanical, software, and manufacturing process improvement and leadership. I got my degree in mechanical engineering, but then went through a bunch of different things there. Got an MBA a number of years ago. And for any podcast listeners, I host the Engineering Career Coach podcast. And I love doing leadership and career coaching to help people really reach their goals. A little bit about my story, though. I know some of those feelings of kind of being at the bottom, even in a job that I hated, stuck in a job feeling like the life was getting sucked out of me, and I didn't know how to move through that or find something new that was actually going to be exciting. Also know that feeling of economic uncertainty, like living on unemployment to take care of my family, and fearful it was going to run out, but before I was able to turn things around. Also had times where I was kind of at that proverbial top, but in that cushy job, paid well, had good benefits, but still found myself eventually at a place that I wasn't actually growing and knew that I needed a change, because for one reason or another, it wasn't the right fit for me. And so all that and a lot more led me to starting More Than Engineering in 2019, focused on helping engineers and technology professionals create careers they love without sacrificing the things that are most important to them. We work on jumpstarting and upgrading careers. A keyword I like to use is with intention, because you can let your career just kind of happen to you, and opportunities may come, and just kind of ride the wave as it comes, or you can decide, this is what I want. This is the kind of person I want to be. These are the skills I want to develop. These are the kind of people that I want to work with, the kind of companies I want to work for. And I want to do that intentionally, proactively, instead of just hoping that happens. And so through some of the things we'll talk today and other opportunities, if you want to work more, I want to help you and teach you some of the things that I've learned. Okay. So we're going to do another one of quick chats, and also welcome to those who have been joining us the last few minutes. What we do with these quick chats is you enter your answer into the chat box, but don't press enter until I do a countdown. So as we get started and jumping into this content on LinkedIn, just curious, why, or what is your biggest question about LinkedIn? What is the thing that you most want to figure out how to do, what to do, how to utilize it? I'm just curious to hear that. So again, type your answer into the chat. Don't press enter yet to submit it, but we'll do that in just a moment. Give you just about 10 more seconds here. What's your biggest LinkedIn question or challenge that you're trying to figure out? All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, we got some good ones here, and keep throwing them in if you haven't done that yet. What does it do and why does it exist? How to initiate a conversation with a recruiter after connecting. How are recruiters searching for folks? SEO word strength. That's a great piece. What is a LinkedIn brand? These are all fabulous questions. We're going to talk about these. And if we don't get in as depth as you would like to with some of these things, then we're going to have some time at the end for Q&A. So please stick around because I want to help you and make sure we answer your specific questions. Okay. So first of all, just to kind of go broad here as we jump into LinkedIn, like why are we even talking about LinkedIn as a thing? LinkedIn has hundreds of millions of members, and this data is even a few years old. Okay, so it's even bigger now. At the time, you think about 600 million members, but 300 million active monthly users, and so about half of them are using it at least monthly, but 40% of those visiting it daily. So it's pretty well used within the people who are members. Right, tens of millions of senior executives, almost every Fortune 500 company uses it, and I think that number is even higher now. But here's the interesting thing, only 3 million people, so you think about 300 million people are active users, only 3 million of those, 1%, share content on a weekly basis. So if you want to be in the top 1%, all you need to do is post something on LinkedIn once a week, which is kind of interesting. I know those posts are way bigger now. But interesting. I mean, LinkedIn users are also very well educated. Over half of people with degrees use LinkedIn, and so a lot of great reasons to use this for a lot of different. And what we're going to be focusing on are 3 different pieces here. I'm going to call this a LinkedIn triad today. Okay, and the 3 areas that we're going to be focusing on: connections and networking, connecting with people, personal branding, and also using LinkedIn for career advancement. Okay, so these are the 3 areas that we're going to be focusing on as we go through today that I hope will be most helpful for you. So we're going to start with this idea of connection strategies. LinkedIn at its core is a network of people that you can connect with, you can talk with, you can learn from, you can connect with in the platform and outside of the platform. We're going to talk about how to, what these different pieces mean when it talks about having a LinkedIn connection. What does that mean? So one of the things you want to be doing as much as possible is to grow your network, and even just simply growing the number of people that you are directly connected to on LinkedIn. You can see this number by using the My Network button on LinkedIn at the top on the computer app or the phone app. But one of the simplest ways that you can increase the number of connections, this is like the lowest hanging fruit possible that you can do to increase the number of connections, is you can actually connect your LinkedIn account to your email addresses, your email address books. Okay, so it'll scan all the emails that you have in your address books. And you can do this with multiple emails as well. So if you have a personal email or multiple personal emails from over the years, it'll scan those and compare those emails against who of those people with those email addresses have LinkedIn accounts. And it'll give you a big list of people that it would suggest for you to potentially connect with. And you can just go connect. And by the way, I mean, usually people who are in your email address books are people that you've already interacted with or know in some way. Okay, so this is a great way to say who's the people that I already know that I can just quickly connect with, and that makes it easy. That's one of the quickest ways to increase your connections, and it's also a great way to rekindle maybe some old relationships with people you used to work with or are working with now, or maybe you knew them from school or something else, like whatever that is, and say, hey, what's going on? Kind of rekindle old relationships as you start this new connection, right? On LinkedIn. So it's a great time to do that. Okay. A few other ways to think about how do you add connections. Well, you can just ask yourself the question, who do I know? I mean, so connecting your email addresses is going to help, give you some ideas, but you already have people in your life that you interact with multiple times a day. If you're working with them, going to school with them, they're in your community and your family, whatever that is. But LinkedIn also wants to give you suggestions. So it's trying to help you discover people that you might already know. So for example, my alma mater was Brigham Young University. So a lot of times when I click on the network button, it's going to say people you may know from this university. It'll also do the same for University of Washington, where I got my MBA, or other people that have worked at similar places. And so it's trying to give you these suggestions to help you find people that you might want to connect with. And thanks, Chris. And the interesting thing here is I don't personally know any of these people, and this was a long time ago that I took this screenshot. I don't personally know any of these people, but one of them is an ex-boyfriend of my wife. So I keep this one around because it is funny, from 10 years ago. And for some reason, it wanted me to connect with this guy who dated my wife over 10 years ago. So yeah. Anyway, I think it's funny. And I didn't realize that until I'd actually used this this screenshot a few times. So it's just a funny connection for me here on LinkedIn. So another way you can use LinkedIn is I like to use it even when I'm in person. It doesn't just need to be a digital thing. So LinkedIn on the phone app has a way that you can very simply, if you meet someone, you're like, hey, I want to stay connected here. They have LinkedIn. LinkedIn makes it easy. You don't need to go like search them or whatever. You can actually use a QR code function where you can show or scan your LinkedIn. You can scan someone else's QR code or show your own, so that it makes it easy for you to find each other and just quickly connect here on the app. So usually it's up there at the top. I think they've changed the UI just a little bit a couple times. So you may actually need to, I don't know if it looks exactly like that anymore. I need to double check on my own, but I know I did this just very recently at an event where I was connecting with some people and use this. So I sort of use this as like a business card because I don't know, people don't do business cards that much anymore in my experience. And a great way to just increase connection with people I meet in person, right? So another way to do it. A few other ideas, low-hanging fruit suggestions for connections. So just a little bit on kind of how LinkedIn thinks about connections. They call them first degree, second degree, and third degree connections. So first degree connections are people, if you're unaware, that you are directly connected to. Like I might be directly connected to Tamsin, and we would be first degree connections with each other, right? Now a second degree connection is someone who I'm not directly connected with, but someone who is my first degree connection is a first degree connection to them. So if, let's just continue using Tamsin as an example. If so I'm connected to Tamsin is connected to Veronica, but I'm not connected to Veronica, then Veronica and I would be second degree connections because we have this mutual connection. Third degree connections is people we don't have any mutual connections. We don't have anything there. And so we're just kind of disconnected for now. It's a third degree for the moment. So one of the things you can do is you can actually go look at and find people who are second degree connections right now, especially if you're looking to connect with people in a particular company or industry or something like this. You can do some searches on LinkedIn to find people who are second degree connections. You can even filter by it. You can do some Boolean filters and find people who are second degree connections. And so you might be able to either just try and reach out to them and say, hey, we have this connection in common. How do you know them? And just use that as a way to kind of start the conversation. Or if you are more comfortable, you can go to that person who is that common connection and ask for an introduction, right? That's another way. So the second degree connection can be powerful because there's some mutual understanding connection there. Another thing you can do to increase your connections is look at who's viewing your profile. When you have a free LinkedIn account, you get some limited information here, but you do get some. If you are interested in thinking about doing a premium LinkedIn profile, you get a little more data as far as who specifically are these people. When you're on just a free version, it gives you some of them, but it hides some of them as well. Doesn't give you quite as much information, but it's still quite interesting. I think you can get a month trial of LinkedIn Premium if you want to try it out. There's some pros and cons on whether or not it's worth it, and but it would be worth seeing for yourself, and maybe doing that free trial for a month and seeing if that's a fit for you. You can also say, if you are someone who creates content, even if you want to be in that 1% like we talked about earlier and create content once a week, if anyone likes or comments on your content, this is a way you can just go reach out to them and say, hey, thanks for doing that. Tell me more about your thoughts here. Just want to appreciate it. So you can just, thank them, connect with them, ask more, start that conversation relationship. That's another way to find people you might want to connect with, right? So that's what, as far as we're going to go, as far as connections today, but we can talk more in Q&A if you're interested. But right now, we're going to move to this idea of personal branding in the LinkedIn triad. And so to do that, I want to start off with another one of these quick chats. And I'm just curious, personal branding is a word that gets thrown out a lot. I'm just curious for you, how would you define a personal brand? Like when you think about that, those words, what does that mean to you? How would you define that? How would you use that and whatnot? So think about that for just a moment. Type your answer into the chat. I'll give you about 10 more seconds. I'm going to take a drink here. All right. And then we'll go 3, 2, 1, go. A mini version of my resume, how someone would introduce you to a third person. Both of those are really good. Sandy's kind of sharing hers, AutoCAD and Revit guru. It's good. Veronica's saying nice looks. It's interesting. So a few different things here. Like, yeah, how would someone introduce you? Mini version of the resume. One way that I like to think about this is thinking about like a Venn diagram. Okay, so the two circles of a Venn diagram, you can think about this, is the one is like who you are as a person, as a professional, and the other side is what people know about you or can get to know about you, and the intersection is the personal brand. So you want to be able to share more and create that intersection to be larger, the personal brand, so that people have more of an opportunity to know who you are. Because if you don't tell them or show that or describe that in some way, then they won't know. You know that you have these skills, these abilities, and value that you can bring to a potential employer, whatever that is, but they don't know unless you tell them. So creating a personal brand and describing that is one of the most important ways. And on LinkedIn, the best way to do that is on your LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to give you we're going to be focusing mostly on the LinkedIn profile, different tips and ways to optimize that. Again, we're going to be focusing on low-hanging fruit here. There's a lot of different aspects to a LinkedIn profile, but we're going to focus on the things that are most impactful today, okay? So the things that are most important are the things, it makes sense. It's the things that are at the top. I want to give you a few examples here. So this is a former client of mine. His name's Chris. But the stuff at the top, it's about first impressions, okay? So your pictures, your personal picture, and your background photo, and also it might be your banner photo here, and also your title, or what it's called on LinkedIn is your headline, okay? And these are critical from a keyword standpoint. So your personal photo, you want it to be nice. It's not like you need to go pay someone to get some professional photos taken. You don't need to go pay hundreds of dollars. Any phone these days is going to take some nice photos. Just dress up so you feel good about what you're wearing, how you look. Get a nice background. It can be indoors, outdoors, doesn't matter. Just get a nice photo. Have a friend or family member take a nice photo that you're excited about, and throw that up there. Not one that's a cutout of a group with your arms around a bunch of people or something like just you, because that's what this profile is about. The background or banner photo, you want this to be something relevant there, and I'll show you a couple more examples. You can customize this, or you can just find some, some people throw up quotes, some people, but ideally you want it to be something that visually is interesting and also shows relevance to the industry that you're in. Okay. And so Chris loves to be a mentor and a coach. He's in engineering. And so this kind of collaborative look was something that he felt really worked for him. Okay. Now on the keyword side, on the headline, one of the common ways to do this, especially for those who are job seeking, is you want to make sure that any potential job titles that you might be interested in are included in your headline, as well as any other keywords that are very relevant to your industry or type of job that you're looking for. So he had mechanical engineering manager, manufacturing engineering manager. He maybe did too many things here. Like he said, engineering manager twice. He said manufacturing twice. Ideally, you don't want to repeat too much, but it's just an example here. CNC programming, machining, Lean and Six Sigma, mentor and coach. And so a few different things here that you can see. By default, it's going to do something like, if you don't customize your headline, it's going to do something like you see here with Tom over here on the bottom right. Okay. It's going to say your current role at your current company. Okay. And that's not absolutely terrible, but it also doesn't say a whole lot. A lot of people are software engineers or software engineers in tests or mechanical engineers or civil engineers or whatever flavor of engineer or technology professional you are. And it's just not as good as it could be. Give you a couple other examples that I like. My friend Tim, he went a little bit more, big picture. He loves empowering people and innovation. He's all about Industry 4.0. That's kind of a factory automation and technology thing there. And then he talks about his role as technical operations program manager in the aerospace sector, all these different things here. So you can see a lot of things about Tim in just these few lines. I know a lot about Tim and who he is professionally, right? And is another good example here. She put PhD in her name, which is great. Staff scientist, project management, research nanomaterials, but also some personal things. She's a professional athlete, and she included that in her background photo. She races mountain bikes professionally, and so kind of a fun thing that she was able to include there, right? And so there's just a few examples here to give you some ideas. Hopefully, spur. What are those keywords that are most relevant for you and in your industry and roles that you might be interested in? Okay. The other thing that's really fun to be able to really share a personal brand is to write a great about section or bio. Now the thing here is, and this is, this goes back to the days of when people actually would get paper newspapers delivered to them all the time. The old adage with newspapers is what's above the fold? What are those headlines that people can see before they have to open it up and unfold it or turn the page? Those things that are above the fold are most important. The same is true with your about section. Those first 2 or 3 lines are all that LinkedIn is going to show unless someone clicks this see more button. Okay. And so I like this quote that I found. Think of your LinkedIn bio as a personal elevator pitch. If you connect with someone in your LinkedIn profile and they visit your page, what do you want them to know within the first 10 seconds? Maybe the first 5 seconds is that headline. In your LinkedIn bio, the first few lines is maybe your 10 to 30 second. And then if they click see more, how can you share more there? I like writing LinkedIn bios or about sections in first person. It's you are talking to the audience of whoever the reader is. But also we're still kind of playing a keyword game like we were with the headline, also in the about section as well. So I like to do this with a list of, you kind of tell your story in a few paragraphs, but also you can do this with a kind of a key skills list as well. You can do a bulleted list at the bottom of your about section to include those keywords there as well. Okay. But I want to give you a few examples of kind of those first few lines and see if this resonates with you. You can go kind of really pragmatic, like this person did. Experienced manager and engineer focus on building and improving teams through growth, development, and mentorship, creating and improving products with manufacturing. Just really straightforward. These are the kinds of things I do. That's totally fine. Okay. And I don't have to guess too much about who this person is or the types of things that they care about, in these first few lines. But again, if that's interesting to me as a recruiter or hiring manager, something like that, then I might click see more to read more. This is a fun one. This is from Anne, who I showed you her kind of top of the page earlier, who's the professional mountain biker in addition to PhD scientist. And I really like how she started this. I'm not your typical PhD scientist. During the work week, manage projects as a chemist, environmental toxicology consulting firm. On weekends, I race mountain bikes professionally and serve as an ambassador. And it didn't complete that sentence because it cut it off. But now I'm interested because, at that very first, it was kind of more catchy. I'm not your typical PhD, right? So it was kind of a fun way to engage from the very beginning. Okay. Here's kind of a fun one. Not directly relating to, I don't know much about this person, but it's kind of curious to pique my interest and want to learn more. My dad bought a computer for our home when I was in 5th grade. Whenever I wanted to use it, aka constantly, he asked why. So it's kind of an interesting way to just kind of be that hook, say, okay, maybe I want to read more, even though it's not expressly telling you up front much about them, right? Here's another one. Someone starting with a quote from Einstein: "No special talent. I'm only passionately curious." And then they're kind of telling the story. I still recall the memory of an incident that makes me so fascinated about civil engineering. And so they're sort of starting with their story about why engineering is important to them. So these are some of the ways, just different varieties of ways that you can potentially start off your about section. Okay. Want to move quickly to the work experience section. This is very similar to what you would put in the work experience section of a resume. Although I would say in LinkedIn, you can share more than you would in a resume, because a resume, you want to be really tailored to that particular company. LinkedIn, you can leave a little bit more broad and general, but you still want it to be resonating with, again, your personal brand and things. But biggest thing here, you can I personally like kind of a balance. You can write like a paragraph or two that's kind of big picture. This is what I was hired to do in the challenge phase, more of the storytelling of your work experience. But then if you're going to include bullet points like you would in a resume as well, those bullet points should be concrete, measurable achievements. These are the results I delivered, the scale and the scope of how big of problems you were solving, what was your budget, how many people were you working with or leading, what were quality improvements, how much money did you save, how much money did you help earn for the company, all those different things. You want to be able to ideally see, provide numbers that you can quantify the results and also the scale and scope of the work and the efforts that you were doing. And so I kind of like to balance a little bit of the telling the story with those bullet points personally. But this person was kind of all story, and it's interesting just because I liked the storytelling aspect there. Sharing some context. Most people know about Wells Fargo as a company, whether you like them or not. But I like that he's sharing the context of what they do within his company in Digital Labs. And what he does is doing the key strategy and early stage product development. My role includes, these different facets. So, from a storytelling aspect, I think you did a great job. Now, this is Anne again. She and she put a lot more. Again, if I was writing a resume, I wouldn't include this many bullet points. But in LinkedIn, I think it's totally fine. But the big thing I really like here, a little bit of that, overarching description of what the role is, providing technical support. And then I highlighted here, these are all the numbers. And this is why I talk about why giving those measurable numbers are so important. my eyes, even when they're not highlighted, are drawn to numbers when I see a sea of text like this, but my eyes go right to numbers. So I'm seeing 35% under budget, beat the billing goals, did a sampling of over 1,000, in this case for their test, spoke at 3 conferences, 3 invited talks, 19 company newsletters. And you can also see, you can include links within your roles here. So she was interviewed, and so she include that link, that interview, that article, and that can be included at the bottom of your role. And so you can separate those, or if there's a general company video or website or different things, you can include those. So you can make it a little more multifaceted. Okay. One more area that I find is very important in LinkedIn is making sure to get recommendations. Give and get them. I'd say you want to get at least 3 recommendations on LinkedIn from people you've worked with, students, professors, if you're early in your career, just coming out of school or something like that. And the more you have, the better. It's a little bit of street cred, and also saying, hey, these people can kind of vouch for you and your work and different things like this. So just highly recommend to ask for recommendations from people you've worked with or interacted with in the past, and also make sure to give them as well. With people you've really appreciated working with them, make sure to give those recommendations. Okay. Relatively new feature, if you're interested in doing this, is a feature in LinkedIn called the cover story. You can kind of notice the orange ring around my profile. What it is it's a really quick 30-second video. Okay, so people can click on my profile picture and get a video of me. And so and LinkedIn did this because they're citing some surveys. They said almost 80%, it was actually exactly 76%, hiring managers believe that seeing a pre-recorded video of a job seeker would be useful. I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of the companies are doing some of those automated interview things at the very beginning, where they might ask you questions. You just record a video to the system, but also it's a great way to share it on LinkedIn and do that, a little bit of an intro to you if you want to do that. Okay. There are a bunch of other features in a profile. There's something called the featured section where you can add more multimedia things, links, documents that you want to share, flesh out your education, volunteering, licenses and certifications, accomplishments, skills, bunch of different things. Make sure to just fill it out. Like don't leave those blank. Fill out your entire profile, make the most of it. Okay. So a lot there. We could get into more, and I'll share a resource later that you can get some more if you'd like to as well. All right. Final piece on the LinkedIn triad we're going to be talking about is how do we use LinkedIn for career advancement and career opportunities? Okay. So do another one of these quick chats. I'm just curious if anyone knows, what do you think is the average number of applications that are submitted to a corporate job posting? So it's just an average job posting that's out there. How many resumes or applications do you think that they get? So again, type in the number, and then we'll do a countdown in just a minute. Take another drink here. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, some different answers here. 2K, 250 to 300, more than 200, 80, 200. Now, the truth is that any of these could be true. I mean, I saw our range was from 80 to 2,000. Any of these could be true for a given job posting, right? It could be 80, could be less, could be more than 2,000, depending on how well seen this job posting is and how competitive it is. But when we look on the average, okay, looking at the data, each corporate job posting attracts about 250 resumes. So some of you were pretty close to that range. And so if you think about of these candidates, an average of 5 maybe will get an interview. And so it's about a 2% chance of getting an interview and a less than 0.5% chance of getting the job, because only one gets a job in the end, right? And so, when we're thinking about job posts, searching for a job, plenty of people try and use what I would call the spray and pray approach and just apply. And so if you want to throw 250 or more resumes out there, you might get enough, just play the numbers game, and you might get enough applications in there and end up with a job. That's not the approach that I would like to take. I have no interest, if I were looking for a job, to throwing in 250 or more resumes out there. It works occasionally, but I found that there are other ways that are much more effective. The old adage is, it's not what you know, but who you know. And that's, I feel like it continues to be more and more true. And LinkedIn as a tool is a great way to connect with people you already know, and also get to know more people. And just my adage is that it's not job postings, it's not resumes, it's not job boards that get you hired. People hire people. Okay. And so you need to connect with the people who are making those decisions. Okay. So I want to steal some or reference some ideas from a book that I would recommend. It's called The 2-Hour Job Search by a guy named by the name of Steve Dalton. He's a career consultant at Duke University, I believe. And the approach that is more helpful is to look at targeting preferred companies that you would be interested in working with. Then use LinkedIn or other tools to find out who's in those places that you can connect with. Then find out if they have open jobs, perhaps. But it's really about focusing on the relationships first, through trying to have some informational interviews and connect with them in a reasonable way. So LinkedIn's just a start, but you also want to take that outside of LinkedIn to have conversations, right? So ways you can start here in terms of connecting and building these relationships, start by asking these sorts of questions. Who do you know now, right? We talked about that a little bit, but also, who do you want to know? Who's in positions in companies doing things that are interesting to you that you want to learn more about? Then if you can find those people, it can be as simple as sending them a connection request and telling them that you're interested in talking to them, right? And not talking to them about, hey, I noticed you had a job opening at your company. Can you help me get a job? It's more about, hey, interesting tidbit that you noticed about them that you're actually kind of fascinated about. I'd love to connect and learn more from you in this situation. And then if you feel appropriate, then asking to have a 20-30 minute conversation with them, right? How can you start to nurture and build a relationship with them? Now, big picture, I just think we can keep networking. It's never something that you should not be doing, even if you're in a job. Like, keep using LinkedIn and other tools to network. As far as reaching out to people, I've found that the response rate on LinkedIn is a lot higher than if you're just sending a cold email. You maybe do some of both. Some people are all about email and never check LinkedIn. So it's a mix, right? But most people are on the platform to connect with other people. That's why they're there. And you can likely find who you're looking for. You can search through companies, you can search through industries, and find people that you would be interested in connecting with. Is everyone going to say yes if they want to talk to you and build a relationship with you and maybe help you? No, but some will. And so can you find those people that will say yes, and you can build a professional relationship with, right? So talked about a lot of stuff today. A little bit of a summary here. I want you to find ways to use simple connection strategies to grow your network. I want you to use some of the tools we talked about to optimize your profile with keywords and interesting stories to build your personal brand and really showcase who you are, what you bring to the table. And use LinkedIn to proactively network, to connect with people that you want to get to know, to create career opportunities and new professional relationships that may help you in the near term or the long term. You never know. But you want to start with genuinely wanting to connect on a personal level with these people. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of stuff. Hopefully this was helpful. I really hope so. So just want to ask you a couple questions here. Do you feel excited and hopeful about utilizing these strategies, but maybe still feel a little bit overwhelmed and unsure if you can actually put them into practice on your own? If so, then I would love to help you. Okay, so I've set aside some time in the next little bit to have some calls with any of you who feel like, hey, I need some extra help here. It's not for everyone, but it's for those who are really willing to invest in yourselves and take action and really want to accelerate the process to reach your goals on LinkedIn and beyond, because we can go much deeper than this. We're just focusing on LinkedIn today. It's only one piece of a lot of career advancement strategies that we could be talking about here. But I do this because everything I do right now is built around helping people like you to progress in their goals, break through problems, and find solutions. And so, and many people that I talk to see the value in working more closely with me in one of my exclusive programs, like one that I'll share with you that might be a great fit for some of you. Excuse me. That I'm excited to share with you. It's called the Engineering Career Accelerator. It's built to help you do some of these things that we're talking about here, get career clarity, build that personal brand, land a job that you're excited about. If you're unemployed, you can escape that, get more career fulfillment, really about making intentional career decisions like we were talking about earlier. It's filled with 7 high-octane modules of learning and teaching, video training, and exercises to help you upgrade your mindset, find career clarity, more on LinkedIn than we were able to cover today. Rocking your resume, networking like a pro, nailing your interview, negotiating with confidence. It's the big picture of not just one little piece of career advice, but all the pieces you need to effectively move forward in your career. It also includes, when you work with me, you get access to weekly group coaching sessions where we come together. Everyone's there to support each other, learn from each other, and help and support. We do that on Thursday afternoons typically. Make sure that you're staying accountable and making progress and get that help that you need. We have an online community you can connect with, and you also get many people get one-on-one coaching with me live. You get email support from me. You can do documentation reviews or anything else. If you ever feel stuck, we can make sure that you're able to move through and keep moving forward. Okay. I've had clients get career opportunities and within and without and moving around to all sorts of companies that you would be familiar with. These are just a few of those, from large companies to small companies. Whatever you're interested in, we can make that happen. Okay. There's bonuses like what I call my Hiring Insiders Vault. You get access to my network. If I can help you connect with someone who would be helpful, then you can. I'm happy to make those introductions, as well as some. There's a bunch of resources we're not going to talk about specifically. There's so much more in this program, really designed to help you identify and overcome some of the challenges you're having in your career. So at this point, you have a choice, right? I like to go back to some physics principles. One of Newton's laws of motion is that an object at rest will stay at rest unless acted upon by an outside force. So if for one reason or another you're at rest in your career, if you're out of a job, feeling stuck in a job that you don't like, feeling uninspired or underpaid or underappreciated, feel like you have limited opportunities to progress or feel stagnant, or maybe you're wondering, is there more to careers than just what I'm experiencing right now? You can stay at rest, or we can schedule a call and you can get that outside force to accelerate your career right away. Okay. So here's what you need to do. You need to go to go.oneshub.com/Jeff Perry intro call, and I'll put this link in the chat here in just a moment to help you as well. And we'll set up a time to talk. You'll see my calendar availability. We'll discuss your unique challenges and goals, and if we're a good fit, we'll design a package that's just for you and make it work. Reminder: some of the things that you get in the program: awesome modules, there's PDF guides, you get weekly group coaching, online community, email support, one-on-one coaching, access to my network, Hiring Insiders Vault. There's an exclusive personal development video playlist, all sorts of different things that you get inside of this program. Okay. And so at this point, it's kind of a decision point for any of you. You've watched this. We've been together and gotten some value out of this. you want to transform your career and take it to the next level, you recognize you need some help, which is why you attended this in the first place. And so I highly suggest that you take this advantage of this opportunity to get all these things and get some extra help. And let's talk about that and see if that's a fit for you, because the success principles is to do what works and not what doesn't, and get that training support. And even if it's not for me, but get that help that you need to persevere and keep moving towards what you want to become in your life and your career. Okay. So we're going to go with Q&A. Anything goes. Don't be shy. I'm going to throw a link here in the chat for you to schedule that call with me. And then also, I didn't include it here in the sorry, I can't type and text at the same time. I'm going to say it first. I didn't include it in the presentation, but there's a free LinkedIn profile guide that I will give you a link here in the chat as well if you want to grab that. I'm going to give you that link right now. Let me make sure that is the right. All right. There's a LinkedIn guide link there as well. So Q&A time, folks, and you can grab the link in the chat, or there's a QR code to schedule a call as well. Would love to talk with many of you in the coming days. But I want to be here to answer any specific questions you have. I talked about a lot of things a little more generally, but if there's a specific question that can help you with, I want to help you. So what questions do you have and how can I help?
Hey, Jeff, one question. You mentioned putting keywords in your headline.
Yes.
Are there other places on your LinkedIn profile that if a recruiter is looking by a search term that they're going to find that, like either in our About Me or down in our work profile, or is it really limited to that headline?
Yeah, so headline's the most powerful. Like if we're talking SEO tactics, it is, if I understand it right, I mean, there's no one knows like the official algorithm, but I think it's about 60 or 70% of the power of those keywords is in the headline. But anywhere else you have them in your about section, in your work experience. The other one that's easily searchable that we didn't talk about a ton today is the skills section. And you can max out up to 50 skills. And relatively new is that you can attach skills that you've used to your work experience section and say, hey, I utilize these skills or learn these skills in this particular role. That's relatively new. I think even just in the last few months, I saw that come online. And so skills is something that recruiters have a special version of LinkedIn that they can get. And they can search by people who have specific skills on their profiles. So that's another really simple, and that can be technologies, softwares. You can do more soft skills and leadership and project management, other types of things that are important for the types of roles that you're looking for. So it's a great thing to go back and forth between, hey, what are job descriptions that I'm interested in asking for? How do I make sure that those most important things are in my headline, in my about section, and in my skills sections, so that people can come my way, as well as when you go reach out to them, then they can easily see that you're the type of person that they're looking for.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Any other questions?
Yeah, I had one question. It is basically, what is the difference between getting recommendations and endorsements for, say, a skill, or are they both different things?
Yeah, so great question. So recommendations are more free form, like, hey, I would be writing a recommendation for you. I worked with this person. It does connect to, it connects the relationship that you had with that person, like, hey, they managed you, or you worked with them, or they were a client of you, or whatever that is, at whatever company you worked at the time, or whatever role you were in. But it's more of a free form. Hey, I can vouch for this person's work. Endorsements are connected with the skills section. That's just saying, hey, if I see you, if I know you and I know you're good at these 3 softwares, then I can just click check. I can endorse them for those things because I worked with them and I endorse them. And then the amount of people that endorse, it shows, hey, there are 20 people that endorsed you this particular skill. LinkedIn shows that on the profile. So that's a little bit of the difference there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Veronica asked in the chat here, any tips on how to post on LinkedIn to promote personal branding? Yeah, Veronica. So I'd say, the biggest thing I'd say is to not overthink it. So, to start, one of the simplest things to do is find things that you really resonate with that other people are posting and repost and add a little bit about your 2 cents on here. So if you're really interested in space, some of the cool things that are getting shared out there, recent rocket launches with the Artemis rocket a few weeks ago, or some of the pictures that are coming back from this James Webb Space Telescope, or if there's a particular technology that you're really interested in and you follow some of these companies or organizations that are doing some cool things, then just reposting some of their posts is a very simple way to get started, and adding some of your own thoughts to that on why you think that's cool and whatnot. The concept of like how to post and post effectively is a whole learning experience on its own, and I continue to learn more and more about what does and doesn't work. But to just get started, if you're starting from zero, that's the easiest way to get started, is to do some stuff like that. Okay. Oh, I have a visitor. I'm going to stop the recording, but we'll keep doing questions here.